The distress signal. The halls of the Korlari Senate shook with every distant explosion echoing from the upper atmosphere. Alvian stood at the center of the chamber, clutching the ancient scroll-shaped data rod, its cracked crystal still glowing with a pale blue hum. The senators, once proud and serene, now shouted in fear, their usually harmonious tones twisted with desperation. The Threx are breaking through the Oria's line. The Third Fleet is gone. No more gambles. We must evacuate the core worlds. Alvian slammed the rod onto the central podium, silencing the crowd. Enough. You all know what this is. Eyes turned to the artifact. The distress beacon. Forbidden. Ancient. Feared. Senator Jorl, whose crest feathers were dulled with age and cowardice, hissed, "That should have been destroyed. It's a relic from before the Accord. Before peace." "No," Alvian said, voice steady. "It's a link to the only ones who might stop this genocide. The humans." Whispers filled the chamber like insects buzzing under glass. "Extinct. Mythical. Too dangerous." Alvian raised a hand. "You've all read the accounts. The Terrans didn't vanish. They withdrew. After the severance, they went dark, took their fleets, their machines, and retreated beyond the rim. But they left the beacons behind. And if they receive it..." Senator Jorl's voice rose. "What do you think they'll send? Aid convoys? Doctors and diplomats? No, Alvian. If they come, it'll be with fire. That is their history." Alvian didn't smile, but his eyes hardened. "Then perhaps fire is what we need." He inserted the rod into the ancient slot built into the chamber's foundation. The beacon system powered up with a hum that hadn't been heard in over 400 cycles. The lights dimmed. Symbols in a long-dead Terran script crawled across the holoscreen, signal authenticated. Soulnet channel reconnected. A single confirmation line blinked beneath it. Transmission sent //priority Omega. On the surface of Korlax Prime, the war raged. Orbital fire rained down in sheets of plasma. Threx drop pods struck cityscapes like burning meteors, disgorging monstrous reptilian troops bred for nothing but conquest. The planetary shield flickered, barely holding. In a bunker beneath the capital, Alvian stood with High Marshal Caris, watching the sky rupture through live feeds. "You really did it," Caris said quietly. "Gods help us." "I don't believe in gods," Alvian replied. "But I believe in humanity." Caris scoffed. "You believe in myths. Stories about a species so violent they scared the Dominion into a treaty. Beasts of war who disappeared before they could destroy themselves. You summoned monsters." Alvian said nothing. He simply watched the stars. 3 days passed. The Threx advanced. Millions died. No reply came. Until the 4th day. Caris' aides burst into the war room. Unidentified signal inbound. Long-range FTL, heading directly for Korlax Prime. Caris leaned forward. "Dominion reinforcements?" "No, sir," the aide whispered. "It's unregistered. No match in any database. It's massive." On the main display, a tear opened in space, smooth and quiet, unlike the violent FTL ruptures the Threx used. A single ship emerged. Black. Geometrically perfect. Bristling with unidentifiable weaponry and emitting a low-frequency hum that made nearby Threx ships flicker and stall. "Signal coming in," the aide said. "Put it through." A voice filled the chamber. Mail. "Terran. This is Captain Elias Wren of the Accord Fleet. By activation of Omega Beacon 14, you are now under Terran protection. Stand by for reinforcement." As the signal ended, more tiers opened in space, dozens, then hundreds. Each one birthed a warship unlike anything the Korlari had ever seen. Dreadnoughts the size of moons. Carriers that deployed squadrons like swarms of bees. Stealth vessels shimmered in and out of visibility. Orbit turned black with ships. Alvian whispered, "They came." Caris stared at the sky in horror and awe. "They didn't send aid." A shadow passed over the war room, cast by a descending cruiser. Caris swallowed. "They sent an entire fleet. They thought humans would send aid. Not an entire fleet." First contact reforged. The docking platform groaned under the weight of the descending human shuttle. Sleek, angular, and utterly silent, it moved more like a predator than a machine. Around it, Korlari soldiers stood frozen, weapons lowered, unsure whether to bow or run. Alvian waited at the base of the landing ramp, flanked by High Marshal Keris and the first speaker of the Senate. None spoke. The air was too heavy. The weight of history too thick. The ramp extended with a smooth hiss. 4 figures emerged, humanoid, armored head to toe in matte black exosuits, visors opaque. One stepped forward and removed his helmet. "Captain Elias Wren," he said, offering a curt nod. His face was pale, marked with faint neural implants along the jawline and temple. Cold blue eyes scanned the Korlari delegation like a battlefield. Alvian stepped forward. "I am Alvian of Korlax Prime. I activated the beacon." Wren studied him a moment, then extended his hand. "Then you made the hardest choice your people will ever know." Alvian shook it. Keris, ever the soldier, eyed the captain warily. "We thank you for your intervention. The Threx would have razed our cities by now." Wren nodded. "They won't get the chance. Protocol 7 interdiction field is active. No ship enters or leaves this system without our approval." "You've trapped them here?" Keris asked. Wren's voice was flat. "We don't trap. We contain. We clean." They were escorted inside the Korlari command complex. As they walked, Alvian stole glances at the humans. They moved without wasted motion. Their armor whispered as they walked, every gesture calculated. And their silence, unnatural. Only Wren spoke, and only when needed. Inside the war room, Wren activated a portable holopad. The display projected the entire Korlax system. Red markers, Threx forces, blinked across 3 planets. Blue markers, Terran fleet units, were expanding outward like claws closing in. "This is a war map," Wren said. "Not a rescue plan. We don't do extraction. We do resolution." Keris leaned forward. "You've already deployed?" Wren looked at him as though the question was beneath notice. "As soon as we dropped from FTL. We don't enter systems unless ready to engage." Alvian frowned. "Then, why even speak with us?" Wren finally looked him fully in the eye. "Because you lit the beacon. You opened the door. And you deserve to understand what walks through it." He tapped the holomap. Dozens of Terran ships blinked into closer orbit. "You expected medicine. Logistics. A fleet of peacekeepers. No. That's not who we are. We are the sword, not the bandage. We do not negotiate with species that use war as currency. We end them." Keris bristled. "And if we hadn't called? Would you have watched us die?" Wren was quiet for a moment. "Yes." Shock rippled through the room. Wren continued, voice low. "We do not interfere in the natural course of interstellar civilization unless called. We are not guardians. We are not gods. We are consequences." The word hung like smoke in the air. Alvian nodded slowly. "Then let me be clear. We called. We meant it. Do what you came to do." Wren's expression softened by a fraction. "Understood." That night, Alvian stood on a balcony, overlooking the scarred skyline of Korlax Prime. Flames still burned in the distance. Ash floated down like snow. But above, stars now glinted beyond the silhouettes of the Terran fleet. He heard the soft hum of boots and turned. A woman stood beside him, another human. Slim, armored like Wren, helmet tucked under one arm. "I'm Commander Issa Lin, Exo of Soul's Vengeance. You made the right call." Alvian looked at her. "We feared legends. You brought reality." Lin smiled faintly. "Most civilizations forget this part of the story. The Terrans, they think of us as demons or saviors. Really, we're just people who learned the hard way that peace is a privilege earned with pain." "Why come now?" Alvian asked. "Why break your silence?" She turned her eyes skyward. "Because you remembered us. And because you asked. And because the Threx have done this before. Too many times. A low rumble vibrated the balcony railing. Alvian looked up. The sky was glowing again. But this time, it wasn't Threx fire. It was human retribution, arriving like thunder. They thought humans would send aid. Not an entire fleet. Wrath of the Forgotten. The Threx High Commander, Vorn Kesh, stood on the bridge of his flagship, Razor Fong, staring at the swirling storm of data on the holoscreen. His reptilian eyes narrowed, mandibles twitching with growing unease. "More ships," he hissed. His sensor officer nodded, scales pale with fear. 300 additional Terran vessels. No identifiable transponders. No comms. Just arrival. Vorn Kesh's claws clicked together. No species maintains that size of force in hiding. Not without purpose. Then the lights dimmed, the main view screen flickering. A sudden burst of static followed by a calm voice, flat, emotionless. "This is Fleet Command to all Threx vessels. You have committed genocide, planetary conquest, and violation of the Celestial Accord. You are considered rogue actors. Surrender is not requested. Judgment is underway." The message repeated in the Threx native tongue. Then silence. Moments later, the stars began to vanish, not because of any natural phenomenon, but because of the fleet now descending through low orbit. Each Terran warship was a leviathan of steel and light, bristling with weapons whose functions no Korlari or Threx mind could even comprehend. They didn't just arrive, they surrounded, jammed, nullified, and controlled. From the surface of Korlax Prime, Marshal Carys watched the sky darken through his visor. High above, streaks of fire carved down from orbit, sleek pods, thousands of them, burning through the atmosphere with controlled fury. He switched comms. "Status report." A field officer answered, breathless. "Terran drop pods. Impact points across all conflict zones. 0 civilian strikes. Ground suppression has begun." Carey stared up as one pod slammed into the earth 50 meters from his forward position, sending up a cloud of dirt and flame. From the smoldering crater emerged a human, 7 feet tall in exo-armor, glowing runes etched across its surface. It raised a rail weapon the length of Carey's torso, scanned the area, and sprinted toward the front line without hesitation. Everywhere they landed, the humans didn't pause. They moved, fast and efficient, tearing through Threx infantry like phantoms. Alvian watched from a command relay station, every display screen filled with battlefield feeds. Terran forces deployed non-lethal plasma nets, disintegrator mines, gravitic crush zones, and electromagnetic jammers. Some Threx surrendered. Most didn't have the chance. He turned to Commander Issa Lin. "How are your people doing this?" Lin didn't even glance up. "We fought worse. We've learned. And we plan. But this precision, it's like you've been preparing for them specifically." She finally looked at him. "We have." On the bridge of Soul's Vengeance, Captain Elias Wren monitored the operation through dozens of tactical displays. His officers, human and AI, updated in real time. Orbital supremacy achieved. No Threx ship left in local space. Surface resistance is collapsing. Civilian casualties below 0.2%. Wren nodded once. "Execute final sweep." High above, an array of satellites activated in synchronous formation. This was not a weapon. It was a statement. The Hellsky. From the upper atmosphere, beams of blue-white energy stabbed down, striking only Threx installations and military targets. Precision beyond comprehension. Entire Threx battalions erased without even scorching the soil beneath them. In space, the last Threx dreadnought made a run for the edge of the interdiction field. It never made it. A spear of light from a Terran lance cruiser punctured its core reactor. No explosion. Just sudden silence. An hour later, the war was over. Not won. Ended. Alvian stood in the ruins of the Korlari Council Plaza, where the remaining senators had gathered in shocked silence. The battle was finished, but the cost, mental and political, was still being calculated. Captain Wren arrived in full armor, flanked by 2 silent Terran guards. "We've neutralized all Threx forces across 5 systems. War criminals identified and taken into custody." Senator Jorrell, once a voice of doubt, stepped forward. "What will you do with them?" Ren's eyes were cold. Try them. In our own courts. Off-world. And then we leave. Jorel frowned. Just like that. You come with godlike power, shatter an empire, and then vanish. Ren didn't blink. We don't occupy. We remove threats. That is all. Alvian stepped forward. What of us? What do we become now? Ren's expression softened, just barely. Survivors. Builders. Remember what it took to summon us. And why you should never have to again. He turned, walking away as silently as he had arrived. Above them, Terran ships began to rise into the sky once more. They thought humans would send aid. Not an entire fleet. Echoes of fire. The sky over Korlax Prime was blue again. For the first time in weeks, no flames scarred the horizon, no orbital debris rained down, and no death knells echoed from the atmosphere. The Terran fleet was departing, layer by layer, ship by ship, folding into dimensions beyond normal space with eerie, silent ruptures. Each vessel winked out of existence as though it had never been. Alvian stood atop the grand spire, overlooking the capital. Entire districts were in ruins. Monuments reduced to ash. But survivors had begun to emerge from bunkers, from shelters, from shattered cities. The world lived. Beside him stood Commander Issa Lin, helmet under her arm, wind ruffling her short hair. Rebuilding will take decades, Alvian murmured. Lin glanced at him. And memory will take longer. He turned to her. What happens now? When your ships are gone? We vanish, she said simply. It's what we always do. Back into the void. Why not stay? Help us rebuild. Lin shook her head. Because we are the fire, Alvian. We're not.